All right, big news tonight. A little bit of breaking news as Coach Prime finally did it. He finally has his defensive coordinator. A lot of questions answered on this one. I know you guys were waiting. I saw the message boards. I saw Twitter. I saw Instagram. I saw people questioning when would this finally happen. And guess what, guys? It has finally happened. A key piece of what we will look for in 2024 has now been figured out. And Coach Prime has his new DC at Colorado. Oh, he was the former Cincinnati Bengals safety coach. His name, you probably already know it now, Robert Livingston, is expected to be hired as the Buffs' new DC. Matt Zenitz of 247 was the first to report this, and this is a big deal for several reasons. Obviously, you got to have a DC in place as you start to get closer to spring football, and you obviously wanted that to be the right guy. Coach Prime dropped some hints. He dropped some clues along the way about it potentially being somebody from the NFL. That coaching carousel happens later than college. This shouldn't be a real big shock. I've seen coaches from Miami and other places going to the NFL now, and so there's a lot that's happening at this time, but Coach Prime finally has his guy. The first thing that I want to point out with this is nobody predicted that Coach Livingston would be the Buffs' new coach. Nobody had him on their hot boards. Nobody was pointing him out when they were talking about Zimmer, when they were talking about different guys that might be the next DB coach or the next defensive coordinator. They did not have DB coach or safeties coach Robert Livingston on their boards. Coach Prime proving to you that he can move in silence with coaching hires too. You guys know what happened with Travis Hunter a couple of years ago. You know what happened with Cormani McClain. You know how he got Jordan Seaton, but he's showing you that he can do that when it comes to coaching hires as well. This is a big-time hire. We'll talk about it in just a moment, but a little more on Livingston. Matt Zenitz, again, of 247 Sports, noted that Livingston has worked for the Bengals since 2012. Cincinnati ranks number 3 in the NFL in passing touchdowns allowed in 2022, and then they were number 8 in interceptions this year in 2023. They've got a really good defense there in Cincinnati. I don't know how many of you are NFL folks. If you are NFL folks, hit the comments down below. Let me know who your NFL team is. I'm always interested in that. Don't fire too many darts at me. I live in Tampa, so just by default, I've got to be a Bucs fan, but let me know who your NFL team. Are you a Cowboys fan or Falcons fan? Or do you root for one of Coach Prime's teams, or who do you cheer for? But Cincinnati's got a really good defense. In fact, when Burrow went down, and they've had other quarterbacks go down this year, their defense kept them in a lot of games this year. Their secondary was also really good. I also think it's pretty telling that Coach Prime has an emphasis in this hire with a guy that coached the secondary. Obviously, a position that's very near and dear to his heart, a position that I believe that will help some of the talent on this team. When you think about Travis and you think about Cormani, you think about some of the other guys there in the defensive backfield, I really like the significance that will probably be played on that. Now, I think Livingston's more than just a DB's coach. I think he will have command over the whole defense, but I like that the emphasis is there. That's how Coach Prime, I'm sure, sees the defense, right? And that's the way he saw it. He was a DB. I'm sure that's the way that he wants his coordinator looking at it as well. A really interesting angle on that. Livingston began with Cincinnati as a scout before he became a coach in 2015. And again, he's been the DB coach for the Bengals in the last several seasons. It started that in 2016. He coached the Bengals secondary, the safety specifically, the last 6 years, and has worked out with players like Jesse Bates, Von Bell, and others who have had really good seasons under him. At the end of the day, this is a big-time upgrade. I like Charles Kelly a ton as a recruiter, as a person. I think he's a phenomenal coach in certain aspects. But we shared some concerns earlier in the year about the defense and about what we knew to be true about Charles Kelly, that maybe some of his best days had already kind of passed him by. Maybe he was beyond some of that. You know, he left his post as Colorado's DC for a co-defensive coordinator role at Auburn. I think that was a pretty mutual parting of the ways. I think that what Coach Prime has done with this hire, with Coach Livingston, is get a little bit younger, get a little bit closer to the NFL, get a little bit more professional. And I don't mean that as a shot to Coach Kelly. I'll tell you what I mean by it. I think that you're getting a little bit closer to the professional leagues. I think that that's the way the game is moving at this point. I think the game is moving in such a way that kids are not necessarily concerned with playing college-type defense. They want two things at one time. They want to be successful in college, but then they also want to be developed for the NFL. And who better to develop them for the NFL than someone who you're pulling from the NFL ranks? In a day and age where you've got coaches leaving head coach roles like Boston College and UCLA and others to try to get to the NFL, how strong is it for Coach Prime to pull somebody from the NFL back down to Colorado and give them an opportunity as a defensive coordinator to really do two things? Again, what the college kids want. They want to have success at this level, and then they want to get to the league. They want to be able to play defense in the NFL. And this is a big deal. This will help from a recruiting aspect too. I love Coach Livingston's youth. I love his exuberance. I love his passion for the game. I love that he can literally tell guys, look, this is who I just worked with in the NFL. This is who I just worked with the Bengals. Do you want to be there? Do you want to be playing in massive, massive games? Man was just in a Super Bowl a couple of years ago. That is the kind of upgrade and hire that Coach Prime just brought in. Again, getting guys from college to the pros is a big, big part of what they will want him to be able to do. Let me tell you something. If you're putting guys in the league, you're probably winning a lot of college games. Look at the teams that are putting the most talent in the NFL on a year after year after year after year basis. It's Ohio State, it's Alabama, it's Georgia, it's others that continue to have success on the field over and over and over and over again. If you're putting guys in the NFL, you're typically beating a lot of the guys on other teams that aren't going to the league. Colorado's defense brings back a ton of key pieces, and we're going to talk about that in another video that should come out tomorrow at some point, but those key pieces just need to gel together for Colorado to have a really special season. You know about those key pieces. We don't have to run down every single one of them, but they've done a good job not only retaining talent like Travis Hunter and others, but also bringing in new talent. And that is what Coach is going to have to work with. Coach Livingston is going to have an opportunity to coach some of the best talent in all of college football. Several 5-star, several 4-star, several guys who transferred in. I think about, he's a defensive end, but Okunlula. There's a ton of talent on this defense now, something that there was talent there, but a lot of it was raw and a lot of it was young. And I think this year you're going to see a lot more talent. You're going to see a lot more gotten out of those guys. This defense has to take a leap in 2024, and this could be the first step to it. He's got about 8 months to start to get ready for September, and that is going to be a full-time job. The defense was not great last year. We don't have to sugarcoat that. It definitely got better as the year went on. It definitely got better as guys seemed to get more comfortable in their roles. They started playing better down the stretch, but it has to improve this year if Colorado wants to have the special season that they are looking to have. And this is the first part of it. Getting Coach Livingston is a big deal. It's a big-time upgrade. Again, that's not a shot at Charles Kelly. I like Charles Kelly a lot. I think he's a great person. He landed on his feet at Auburn. A great job. But I really like this move. I think that this helps the defense tremendously. I think it helps recruiting tremendously. And ultimately, when we're talking about the 2025 draft, I think you're going to see more guys go in that draft from this defense now that Coach Livingston is leading it up than you would have otherwise. Listen, we started a new channel. It's a national channel. And I spoke with Jake Crane of Crane & Company, who had some criticisms of Coach Prime, and they had some really positive things to say about Coach Prime. Talked about Travis Hunter and how he is amazing. I think that's probably the part that you'll like the most about this. He also compared Colorado to USC back in the day, calling it Hollywood. I want you to go check out that conversation that I had with him. Colorado's got a stiff challenge ahead of them, but I told you on that video how their greatest challenge might end up being their secret weapon to success in 2024. If you haven't seen our national channel or that video on Colorado that I did, click the video on the screen right now to watch it. Make sure you subscribe to that channel as well, and thank you for watching the Prime Time for College Football.